It's another week of what's for dinner, and I'm pretty sure by the time you get to the end of this video, you will be hungry because there is some yummy looking food and some yummy tasting food that you're going to see in this video. So we are going to jump straight in. Our first thing that we are going to be making is vegetable pizza. The clip you just saw was from family night. We just felt like having some party food, so I made a vegetable pizza, some Sante Fe stuffed baked potatoes, and a taco salad. And so I'm going to show you how I made those things. Right now I am working on the dough for the vegetable pizza, so I'm using 2 cans of crescent rolls that I have let sit out for probably a half hour or so to soften a little bit, come to room temperature. They're easier to work with, and I am spreading those out on a cookie sheet, pinching the seams to make sure they are all closed good and tight to make the dough. Never mind the chippy fingernails, never mind that. In just a few minutes, the red is going to be gone. I took a break and got my fingernails all taken care of, so you're welcome. And now that my pizza dough is pressed into my pan, I am working on the topping. And so this is kind of like the sauce, if you will. So I have softened some cream cheese. I'm using 2 blocks. And then I have just a little bit of this Philadelphia jalapeno cream cheese. I'm throwing that in there as well. It didn't give it much of a kick at all because there wasn't a whole lot in there. And then I'm using a package of dry ranch dressing mix. So those are going to be mixed together, and that'll go directly on top of the crescent roll dough after it is baked and completely cooled. So this is cooled completely. You can see here I could just lift this right out if I wanted to. And then you're just going to start building on top of this. The first thing on top of the crescent rolls is the cream cheese mixture. And then you just kind of want to spread that evenly. Yes, I could be using a spatula, but the spoon is going to work just fine. Alright guys, here it is, all covered in the cream cheese mixture, looking lovely. And next I'm going to move to the topping. So here I have laid out what I'm going to use. I'm going to use some broccoli, carrot. These are the last of a few radishes that we harvested from our garden just a couple days ago. Some green onions, this whole big bag of green onions. We got those out of our garden just a couple days ago. And then I have some cheese. I prefer to use vegetables on the top of my vegetable pizza that are more dry. I don't like tomatoes or cucumbers or anything that's kind of a wet veggie that will cause it maybe to get soggy. Definitely don't prefer that. Cauliflower is really good on this. But that's what we're gonna go for today. It would be really pretty if I had like some red pepper, but I don't, so I'm gonna use what I have. And then the cheese goes on last, and I'll show you as I go along. Now you see the carrots and just a little bit of radish. Not everyone probably loves radish, so just a few. If I were smart, I would put both of those on top because I have next 2 green things. So the idea is to disperse color throughout, but I get busy doing things and sometimes I don't think it through. So prime example. Anyway, now I'm going to continue on with the green onions and the broccoli. Look how pretty. I think it's best not to overload this. I've overloaded it plenty of times in the past, but I think it's best not to. So before I put on the cheese, because the cheese will stick to your hand, I will press it down anyway. But I like to just go over this and sort of give this kind of a press into the cream cheese. So kind of make sure everything is adhered as best you can. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. This is an important step because you don't want it to all fall off everywhere, which you will have some fall off, but that helps to prevent it just a little bit. Okay, next to the shredded cheese. And any kind will do, whatever you prefer. I think it's prettiest with some cheese that has some yellow in it for sure, because it looks, because it just adds another layer of color. All right, I think that looks pretty good. And again, I'll start going through and giving a good press and making sure everything is kind of in its place. You can use this time to adjust anything or arrange anything a little bit differently if you need to. And that is it, my friends. Vegetable pizza, said and done. I'm gonna get this in the refrigerator. I like to have this chill for a little while before I serve it. So I'm gonna get this in the refrigerator and it'll be ready to go. Next, moving on to the taco salad, and I am chopping up some romaine lettuce, getting that ready for the bowl. But first, in the very bottom of the bowl goes a can of chili beans, undrained. You want all the juices because that is so much flavor. So in the bottom of the bowl, the chili beans, and then we're going to layer on all the lettuce that we just chopped up. And now it's time to chop up some green onions. This one had quite the little curly Q going on. I thought that was kind of interesting. So I'm going to get these all chopped up and they're going on top of the lettuce. So thankful that it's garden time, that we can just go out and pick some green onions and throw in our salad. I just had a handful of cherry tomatoes. I threw those in. Now, the key to making this impressive dish is to dome up your ground beef, just like this. Just kidding. This was prepared earlier in the day. I just browned up my ground beef, seasoned it with taco seasoning, and just put that in my fridge so I would have this ready to go. So it's about a pound of ground beef. Put that all over the top, and then I'm going to use some Italian dressing, about 2/3 a bottle. We also like it with ranch. We also like it with Catalina, but I had the Italian this time that I wanted to use. And then right before serving, you crush up a bag of Doritos and mix those in, and that is your cold taco salad. It's delicious. It's one of our favorites. And now I'm going to move on to the potatoes. All right, and since we were having kind of party foods for tonight's dinner for family night, I just was thinking, what can I make that will go along with just a little bit of leftover chili I had from the night before? And so I love a chili baked potato, sort of a Southwest style or Sante Fe style. So that's what I decided to do. So I've just coated these very well in olive oil and some Himalayan pink sea salt. Got a little puncher there to let all the steam out while it's baking. I baked them for an hour. I'm just going to slice these apart in half lengthwise. I'm just going to use my fork to kind of fluff up the inside. And then I'll top them with chili and cheese and put them back in the oven and have them piping hot when it's time to serve. And then I just had some sliced jalapenos. I had some sour cream and green onions. Everyone could just kind of top them however they wanted. And they turned out really, really good. All right, and it's almost time to eat. This has been in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. I just sliced it all up, and it is a crowd pleaser, I tell you. Everyone seems to really love this vegetable pizza. I know our family especially loves it. And so here's everything laid out. All the kids are here. We're getting ready to eat. We love having these party foods every now and again, sort of hearty appetizers. And that's really how I've been cooking a lot lately. If something's sounding good to us, I try to cook it up because, hey, let's just enjoy the little things in life as best we can. There's enough going on out there. We ought to enjoy our food and our time spent together, and that's what we did this night. So for dinner tonight, we have a little bit of a change of plans. We're going to do dinner on the grill. I do not grill. My husband does the grilling, and he has a late night at work. So I switched gears, and I kind of been wanting mac and cheese for a while, but I want to have some protein with tonight's meal, but I don't have anything thawed out from the freezer. So I'm just gonna kind of make something up. So kind of tuna helper-ish, tuna casserole-ish, with a mac and cheese sort of base. So I'm gonna use these bow tie pastas. I'm gonna use a little bit of this, it's the Aldi Clancy's brand of like a Velveeta. I am going to use, I think, peas. I was going back and forth between peas and broccoli, but I think I'm gonna go for the peas. That's kind of a throwback to the tuna casserole. And then I've got 2 cans of tuna here. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna boil up my pasta, probably add a little bit of milk and then some cheese. I'm gonna look in my refrigerator and see if I have any cheese that needs to be used up. And if I do, that would work with mac and cheese, I'll use that first, and then I know I can go for this to make up the difference. So basically making a mac and cheese, and then I'm just gonna stir in the tuna drained and the peas drained. And we have stuff for salad. I had a salad for lunch. I don't know if I'll have a salad, but James may want a salad to go along with his. And this is basically just, instead of getting takeout, having him bring takeout home. Of course, we could just eat, you know, eggs and toast or something like that, an easy meal. But this is pretty easy in and of itself. I think I'm just gonna go for it. So let's get this put together. First things first, we're gonna get our pasta added to our boiling salted water. And while that is cooking up, I have enough time to get this pineapple cut up and ready to go along with dinner. We actually had this as dessert, and I don't know technically the perfectly correct way to take a pineapple apart, cut it up, cube it up, but this is how I do it. It works pretty good for me, and so this was so good. I actually did 2 of these. I bought 2 of them at Aldi. They were such a great price. They were so sweet and delicious, and we really enjoyed having this fresh pineapple. Okay, and so remember I said I was going to check my refrigerator for any cheeses that I would have that might go good in this macaroni and cheese. And so I had the bagged breakfast blend cheese, which was like a Swiss and a cheddar. And then I had just a tiny bit of a green onion cheese and the habanero jalapeno cheese. Those all came from the Amish grocery store that we like to visit. So I ended up not even getting into that Velveeta cheese at all. So I put all my cheese in and added a little bit of heavy cream. I have this on a low heat so it can just all kind of gently melt together, and look how delicious this is looking. Next, I'm going to add in my 2 cans of tuna, which was drained really, really well. I added that in, and it takes a very short amount of time to bring this to temperature, as well as the peas that I'm going to add in. I drained those as well. And so just again, over that low heat, I just kept an eye on it and made sure nothing was getting too hot to where it would start to burn, and just kind of let this warm through. And it was really good. The habanero jalapeno jack gave it just a little kick. I'm tasting it there for flavor just to make sure everything tastes balanced, and it did. I added just a little bit of black pepper, and then I just put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. So this was very cheesy, very delicious, a comfort food, and I actually didn't serve another thing. We just had this, and it was perfect. These wings in our little Pro Fry by Presto. Had this thing for years and years. We hardly ever use it, but we're going to try to use it quite a bit this summer. So I'm just doing this out on my patio. Wings are in. We did this a few weeks ago. They were delicious. Okay, well, let's get this done. We're going to have some wings here in just a little bit. I'll probably do 2 baskets full for sure out of the 5-pound bag of wings, or maybe it's a 4-pound bag, I'm not sure, but a bag of wings from Aldi. I think last time we did 2 basketfuls. You don't want to overcrowd them. Hey, there we go. Lunch is happening this Saturday. All right, so these came up, and we are putting just this buffalo wing sauce. We got it Meyer on there. On this batch, I said it might be 2 baskets. It's actually going to be, is it 3 or 4? Or 3. We're doing 3 baskets out of, it was either a 4 or 5-pound bag, whatever they come in from Aldi. So this is round 1, getting tossed in this hot wing sauce, buffalo sauce. All right, and here are the wings plated up. Got a little bit of blue cheese dressing on the side. They are just crispy perfection. And then here is a salad to go along with it. And this is our Saturday lunch. We're digging in. All right, I made these on my channel before, I think back in February. Haven't made them since. But here's what we're going for. We are going for these Hilda-born scalloped potatoes. I've referenced this cookbook many times. It's my Mennonite Fellowship Meals cookbook. I love this. I cook out of this often. I've had this for probably 10 or 15 years. So using my same thing as I used the last time. This is the Rock Crop by Pampered Chef. I got this as a Christmas gift. And what I'm doing a little bit different this time, I'm adding in ham chunks. I have some ham in my freezer from back, I think in January, where I made a big spiral ham, and I just need to get that used up. So I'm gonna add ham chunks to this. I'm kind of going for like a Thanksgiving type vibe. I'm really not, but it kind of turned out that way. I'm gonna do the scalloped potatoes with ham. I'm doing deviled eggs. I'm going to make some green beans. And I'm gonna make stuffing just because I think that sounds good. It doesn't technically go with this meal maybe, but that just sounds good. So, you know, ham, potatoes, deviled eggs, green beans, stuffing, that's what I'm going for. I'm gonna start layering in my potatoes after I get this sprayed. All right, cooking spray going in. My potatoes are peeled, but they aren't washed, so I'm gonna wash them, and then I'm gonna slice them and start layering them in. Okay, I've put my layer of potatoes on the bottom, and now I have put about a half of an onion on top of that. And I'm gonna go in with some Velveeta. This is probably the Aldi brand. That's where I usually buy this. So you just kind of want to put some cheese here and there on this layer, and then we're basically going to start all over again. That's probably sufficient. And then now I'll start again with potatoes. Actually, I think I'm going to do a little bit of salt. Anytime you're working with cheese, hold, back a little bit on your salt, because cheese adds a lot of salt. So you don't want it to be too salty, but I'll do a little sprinkle of salt and some black pepper, and then start layering again. Okay guys, I was just plugging along making these scalloped potatoes. Totally forgot that I was adding ham in here. Oh my goodness. So now, not pretty, but delicious still. Yes, they will still be delicious. So I just kind of lifted up portions and shoved the ham in. So I've got about, 2 cups of diced spiral ham. That came out of my freezer. Then it's about 2 tablespoons of flour over the top, and it says approximately 1 cup of milk. So I'm just gonna kind of pour in what I think would be about 1 cup. I think that's probably sufficient. Let me get one little splash right in the middle. All right, and then I just need to dot some butter on the top. Lid on for 30 minutes, then you uncover for the last 15 or 20. And then you want to give this some time to stand before you serve it, because it'll thicken up really nice that way. So I'm gonna put the butter on and get it in the oven. Okay, my light's kind of getting wonky because I think it's getting ready to storm. Hang on, let me turn another light on. There we go, that helps a little. Still has some shadows, but I'm making deviled eggs. I always use Miracle Whip. I don't always use everything else just the same, but I always use Miracle Whip because
I don't know, I just feel like it gives it a more flavorful taste with Miracle Whip than it does with mayonnaise. That's just me. That's how my mom made them. You guys hear me say that a lot on this channel. So if you grow up eating things a certain way, you kind of develop a taste for that. So this time I did a squirt of mustard and a little bit of chow chow, which is kind of like a southern relish. And then the other thing I always do is use my cookie scoop to fill the eggs. It's just a trick doing it this way. In it goes. It's quick. That one kind of fell apart on me. I also use my cookie scoop when I'm making dumplings. It is perfect for just getting the dumpling mixture into the broth. I have two more here that wouldn't fit in that little dish. These are farm fresh eggs from our son Gunner, little homestead. Their chickens lay beautiful eggs and they lay in abundance, and they do have a lot of chickens. So they keep us supplied in delicious eggs. So that's one reason these are so colorful. I'm going to sprinkle a little dill on top. Sometimes I do paprika. Sometimes I do dill. Today it's going to be a little bit of dill. There we have it. Beautiful deviled eggs to go along with dinner.
All right, a box dressing mix is so quick to pull together for a side. So after you boil it, you need 5 minutes to let it do its thing. And while that's happening, I'm going to put together the next portion of this recipe to kind of kick it up a notch. To a mixing bowl, you're going to use 1 can of cream of chicken, and then after that's in your bowl, you're going to fill that can up with milk, and you're going to mix those two together.
Okay, now onto the dressing. This is something that I think my mom came up with way back in the day. She would make it this way for special occasions, and she called them dressing balls. So ideally, your dressing is supposed to be cool enough that you can make perfect little balls. But I didn't cook my dressing in enough time, so I'm gonna see how close I can get to nice looking dressing balls. Guess I need to get them in the right spot, huh? And she normally would use like a 9 by 13. So I'm showing you this today because this is just real life. She would make hers a little smaller than this. They were actually like a perfect little ball. I think I'm gonna get, it looks like about 9 in this pan. Okay, not perfect, but not bad. We improvised. And then you just take the mixture of the cream of chicken and milk, pour over the top. I'm going to sprinkle the top with a little black pepper. And a little parsley. In here we have these out of the oven. I baked them probably for about 20 minutes total to get the gravy all warmed through, and they just look fabulous. So we're going to make plates and we'll show you what we have when we get it all together.
All right, and here's our food all plated up. It really did feel like a holiday meal with the ham and the potatoes, the dressing, green beans, cooked with bacon, deviled eggs. This was delicious. We had leftovers for the next night as well. I will link the video where I made the scalloped potatoes another time. I'll link that down below. And we really thoroughly enjoyed this meal. And with that, we have wrapped up another week of What's for Dinner. As always, you guys, thank you so much for taking time to watch these videos. I hope you found some inspiration, maybe some ideas to implement onto your meal plan for this coming up week. As always, give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it and you like What's for Dinners. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that red subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next week with another week of What's for Dinner. Bye, friends.